And I put my hand on his shoulder for a moment, and then I just walk off.
Okay. So just to give a quick description of what the other crew members are like, you do have the first mate whose name is Aramart. Aramart is a male half elf that is the first mate, so it's an unmarked half elf that of House Lyrandar. They are a pretty strong-minded person. Hold on, I have actually allowed Erin to put together the stats for these characters for her first mates. So for her mates, I should say. So this person is, let's see, actually smart, wise, and charismatic. So Aramar is somebody who takes the job very seriously. They have been on the seas. They have a lot of experience. They know what it is that they're doing. So when you kind of come up to them and you ask them questions, they just give you quick, matter-of-fact answers. They don't waste your time. And that's when they're on duty. If they're on duty and you're under their commands, who's under their commands? I'll gladly answer that question for you guys. Luca is. Actually, Luca probably really appreciates it because when Luca has a question, he has an answer. No bullshit. No fuss, no muss. Gives you an answer, you go about your duties. Now, when he's off duty, he's actually a pretty nice guy. He's pretty relaxed. He knows quite a few sea shanties. Even though he lives his life at seas, these are House Lyrandar sailors, not your typical sailors that live at. These aren't dirty, starved, scurvy sailors. They're very well kept. They change their clothes. They brush their teeth. They eat decent food, so on and so forth. So when he's off duty, he knows a bunch of shanties. He can have some fun. He's probably too good at cards, but overall not a bad guy. The other mates that you have, the second mate of the ship, his name goes by the name of Savellum. So Savellum is not as bright. You can pick it up right away. He's not as bright as Aramart, which is why, even though he's older, he clearly is the second mate, and most likely will never be able to take Aramart's position as long as he serves underneath him, because Aramart is just that good. There would have to be a reason, a position opens somewhere where they would want this person. And he is a silver-tongued fucker. So the person that works under him happens to be Reich. So when Reich goes up to him, he likes to challenge, right? So when Reich goes up to him and asks a question like, so how do you tie that knot again? He'll be like, well, how do you think you tie the knot? Okay, what purpose does this knot serve? And how can we go about? And he tries to come off like he knows so much, but Reich's smarter than. I'm almost positive Reich is smarter than him. You know what I mean? And Reich's not very bright. So
I had 12 intelligence.
there you go.
Right?
Reich is smarter than him. So, but it doesn't change the fact that he's silver. And you know what? You want to get aggravated about it, but every time you're at the point of breaking, he'll just spin it around and show you how to do it perfectly and give you this amazing compliment, so you're actually happy with the encounter. And he does this so consistently, and it's it wears on you, but not in a week or two. It wears on you in a month. Finally, okay, fuck
I was
this
mad
guy.
about something.
So, but overall, he's really good, and he has a beautiful singing voice. Absolutely beautiful for a half-elf baritone singing voice. He brings in all the really low notes when you do the shanties and everything. You can hear it booming across the ocean. It's wonderful. Lots of fun to hang out with him. Then there's Maya. Maya is the mate in training. She is, technically speaking, I think she is a deckhand A, which means she's somebody that focuses on handling the strength-based things. But she's training to become a mate. She's younger than the others. Actually, she's kind of younger by a considerable amount. She's in her late teens, and but she picks things up quickly. The thing about Maya is she does almost no duties on the ship. Like a Stalbor, she does almost no duties on the ship, not because of laziness, because she shadows constantly. And the problem is she wants to learn. She really is looking up for an opportunity to gain rank quickly. And if she wasn't a little bit of annoying before, because she was always really urgent to learn stuff, she's now sailing under Kieran. Kieran has a reputation for being a very young captain herself. So it's one of those holy shit. I was put here for a reason. Oh my God, that's why I was put here to serve under Kieran. It's gonna happen. So she's really excited and asks a trillion questions. And but it's not even just questions about how to properly handle all these scenarios like navigation, command giving, sailing, stuff like that. She goes up to Luca and she's like, "You know how to fight? Let's fight." No. I know you're a landlubber, but that's okay. You can teach me things, and like goes to learn from everybody. She sees that Reich has these unique weapons. Are you kidding me? That is a great sparring opportunity, and she's very spunky and full of energy. One of those like, she doesn't sleep enough, but she doesn't care. She'll still have the energy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Scott, I'm curious. Half-elves reach adulthood at 25, so is she in her late teens for human years or in half-elf years?
She's in the late teens. Normal,
Okay.
like she's been on this earth for less than 20 years, or on this world for less than 20 years. Yep.
Okay.
So she is young. All right, moving on. You don't know any of their heritage or their backgrounds, so you don't know if maybe she's connected or any of them are, or anything like that. You know. All right, and the last person I'm going to note for just side note of people on the ship is going to be the halfling. His name is Caleb. Caleb is a short, portly halfling from House Galanda. He's kind of funny because he has face tattoos all over his face. They're kind of like washed out. Like, imagine at a young age, he'd received tattoos put into his face of all different colors. Reds, lots of whites, stuff like that all over his face. Then 45 years or so have passed, and those tattoos have never been touched back up upon. And so they're just faded as hell. And he walks around, he's got like, one, grew up on the Talenta Plains, now two, lives on a ship out in the ocean. So he's got very, very darkened skin because of that. But he's got this like nice portly belly, and the way he walks around, he kind of like shuffles around as he moves. But the best part about it is, despite the fact that he shuffles, his feet always go where they need to be. Oh, the ship lists just a little too far because a wave crashed against it. His foot was right against the barrel. He's good. He always moves with like this solid ease, no matter how he throws his belly around in front of him. The best part about Caleb, I mean, he's chatty, but like more of a get you to talk and listen to you kind of chatty. Like, oh really? What did Marjorie say? Like, and then just like listens for a while. But the best part about him is probably the fact that if you swing by the kitchens when he's cooking, he totally will ask you 100 times to taste it and tell you what he thinks, meaning free rations. You're talking free food just for hanging around the halfling. So I don't know if that's something that any of you characters would be into.
Luca is hanging around the halfling quite a bit.
Yeah.
Not only for the free food, but to actually like, get to know him some more.
Perfect. And what Luca would find out is that he grew up as a dragon rider on the as a dino rider on the Talenta Plains. They have different names for this, but he would just call himself a dino rider from the Talenta Plains. He was trained to be a warrior for his village. He was the seventh son of his chief. However, a cute little thing came by and he married into the family, got out of the plains and joined the house. And since then, they've actually been divorced. They've separated years later on, but he still kept the Galanda name and never went back to the plains and is enjoying the high life of being around food and no hostilities directly at him all the time. So
awesome. Luca would also actually be speaking to him in halfling to make it like that connection a little bit even stronger even.
If you have halfling, I'll tell you right now, he immediately likes you. If you speak halfling, he immediately likes you.
I speak halfling.
Because you don't speak Talenta Plains halfling. You speak a city halfling, right?
Yeah.
Because your childhood friend was Galanda as well.
Yes.
So that being said, he loves the accents. He will talk about your accent all the time. Like, oh, I like the way you pronounce this here. That's a lot of fun. And he's just a really sweet guy. Expects a lot of gossip though. All right. Anyways, let's start moving forward. You guys are making your way towards Sharn. The entire trip to Sharn, the only interaction, Kieran, that anybody really has with what's his name? My apologies. Emeril, is he'll come up to you. He kind of keeps to himself. He does a lot of note keeping, a lot of bookkeeping. He does every once in a while spend a little bit of time in the crow's nest because he finds it beautiful up there. But the only interaction he really has with you is he asks, and where is the first port that we are pulling into?
Sharn.
And is the entire crew staying?
I believe so.
And then he turns and like that's pretty much it, other than like a good morning and good evening to you throughout the time. The other two, the Warforged, you notice, Kieran, they watch you from across the way often, but go about their duties
Yeah.
which is pulling ropes and stuff like that if they need to.
Yeah.
And that's it. They just watch you a lot.
They don't ask me anything?
They ask you nothing.
All right.
Let's get to Shard. So here we are. You guys,
I would make it a point to tell Reich about the
please.
conversation, basically. Just that they seemed to be interested in the Minotaur, and we should probably just be wary. I don't say it to Kieran or Stalbor, but Reich specifically because he got so
Don't
worked
tell
up
me.
about what had happened.
Well, I seem like not like put off, but I seem like, you know, like confused from them. Like, why did you lie to them? It's just gonna come out later.
Well, I didn't lie to them. I just didn't tell them yet. They just kept asking, "Is he gonna be on a future voyage?" And I was just kind of like, "Nah, I really don't think so."
Perhaps I'll
That's cool.
break the news to them before we leave port next. I
I
feel as though the news is going to come out eventually, and it's better if we deal with the effects of it now.
I agree, but I instructed them to speak to Kieran as she's the captain, and I figure if they hear it from her, it might carry a little more weight.
My break actually looks like, like, oh god, at that, and he says, "Well, if you think that is the wise way to go about it, then."
Kieran has proven herself lately. Have you seen her on the ship? She's been.
I have never doubted her ability as a warrior. I've never doubted her ability as a leader. I do, however, doubt her ability to be conscientious of their feelings of this man. I fear as though if we told them directly and honestly, there might be no problem, though I fear Kieran will do it in a way that lacks grace.
That's a possibility, but once again, coming from her mouth, it might mean more. And if anything happens, we have her back.
Oh, something will happen.
Do any of you guys interact with each other at all during this this time that you're sailing?
I would try to cheer up Stalbor.
Yeah, I would also try to cheer up Stalbart.
You have tons of. One of the things that you guys are going to notice, actually, Stalbor and Kieran are going to have this fun little interaction because after probably the second or third day of sailing, one of the things Stalbor would notice, everybody will, but Stalbor would notice that she gets exhausted. She runs only 2-hour shifts longer than the rest of them. Kieran's not a wimp, but she, at the end of her shifts of working the helm, like, and Ollie, you've been on a bunch of ships before. You know that the captain doesn't always work the helm. They have other people do it, but she intentionally does so. And like she does so with like a locked look in her face. And when it's done, when her shift ends, she's exhausted afterwards. She's genuinely just like worn out as though she was doing laborious activity the entire time. So that's something that Stalbor would clearly pick up. Whether or not it approaches a different story. I'm sorry, go ahead, guys. Try to steer up Stalbor for us.
What he would do as soon as he notices that, at sort of the end of her shift, like 5 or so minutes before the end of the shift, every time he'd leave a healing elixir.
Oh, that's nice.
On
I don't know if it does anything.
Well, I imagine it probably doesn't, but it'll make you feel better.
Yeah, it's a nice gesture.
Yep.
But yeah, he's spending the entire time is like he goes off to sleep or to trance, and he probably doesn't even actually go in the bunk that's like prepared for him. He probably just like in the kitchens. In the back, just like
I didn't show everybody the
ship.
Oh man, yeah.
You haven't shown us the
didn't.
ship.
Yeah, post the ship.
I want to see the ship.
Bad DM.
Let me do that. Hold on. Let me
A
go over
But then
here.
he would just be off looking over the side of the water for the 20 hours of every day he's not trancing.
Thank
Okay.
you for that.
Wow.
So she was just say thank you for that. It's very sweet of you. Also, I wanted to offer you something. I know you said you have no interest in going to Aradel for your own reasons. But should the day ever come that you want to, I would be more than happy to offer you passage there. Assuming it's in my lifetime, of course.
Okay.
he would have been like deep in thought, and maybe that like pause is like a little longer, and he would just laugh. And
She laughs at it too, like it's a
He'd
joke,
laugh
like...
and then actually hug her, but he wouldn't say anything.
Aw, that's sweet.
He'd go back to looking over the water.
So here is the actual layout of the ship that we are using for the Bull of the Sea, which was
It's
named
the bull.
prior.
I thought you said bull. I was like, that's a really fucking weird name.
Bull, like
Bull.
Bull.
I gotta change my notes.
oh,
Oh,
bull,
yeah,
like
bowl,
like
Cheerios
like-
in a full.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No, like the
Oh.
Minotaur.
I thought
Ollie-
it's really
Ollie-
weird, like half elf.
Like the
Ollie,
dead Minotaur.
you're a bowl of Fruity Pebbles, Ollie.
No,
All right,
let's
so-
not say dead Minotaur. Come on.
Okay, so anyways, so this is the layout of the ship. Now the cool thing about this is you guys actually have assigned quarters. Like you can see where the crew is the very bottom of the ship and everything. But their crew has assigned quarters. So if you actually look down, like Ollie and the Aeronel emissary, they're actually directly across from each other, sitting at spots A and B. But you guys can sleep at very, very different hours and whatnot, so you don't always see each other. But you guys actually have the larger rooms that have like the desks and everything inside them. Sans, of course, the captain, who has the best room. The large rooms have the desks and everything inside them. That leaves for Reich and Luca, they're actually in 12A and B, whichever one doesn't remember. But 12A and B, those are their rooms where they actually have their own space. They have a chest in there, a dressing area. Like they actually have decent sized rooms. And then the first and second mate gets spots 6A and 6B just because they have to be closer to like the ship in case something happens. They're not there as, you know, they get smaller but big rooms, right? And then everybody else is shoved down below into the area 14. And that does include Mia. Mia's down there as well. There are 3 different areas of storage, and there's even a brig on this ship as well. Other than that, you are good to go. The only area that's not designated at the moment, I literally left it open, is if you look at the main deck at the bow, spot number 4. I left that as an undesignated area for you guys to fiddle with. And obviously you can change things as you'd like as well. Okay? So that is the current layout of the ship. So, who's going to go try to cheer up Stalbor?
Oh, okay. So considering I have a room, it would alternate between looking out over the water and scribbling away in my room.
Mm-hmm.
On the desk.
I mean, I did my bit. That's all I had.
Would you like go up to Luca and say that?
Yeah, it's like I tried.
So essentially, I would try to cheer up Stalbor. And when I see that it's not really having an effect, he's not being chipper or anything. He's just kind of doing his own, and I respect it. I'll, instead of trying to cheer him up, I'll try to distract him a little bit. Like, oh, Luca, sorry. Ooh, Stalbor, show me Odette's spell again. Like, just, I want to make sure I'm doing it right, and like, just kind of take his mind off of whatever it is on, and try to bring it to how he's helped me in the past.
That totally fucking works, because he's working on learning 2 more spells, because apparently during this downtime, Scott said, because Stalbor isn't working on anything, over this whole journey, he's learning a couple of spells. So, he'd be doing that a little bit, and it's also sort of probably halfway through this journey, he just starts talking to you in Dwarven. Like, almost for no reason. And when you bring it up, he kind of like stops doing it for a couple of days. But like just talking normally, but then like back to you in Dwarven.
Yeah, he'll be like, I mean,
because he remembers once that you, he spoke Dwarven, and you were like, what language was that? And you actually knew it, and I think you realized that.
Yeah. So when you do, I'm like, I would be like, whatever you feel comfortable speaking, Stalbor. We're beyond pleasantries at this point.
At one point, he's like, good, because speaking Elvish with the other Aeronai on the ship is a dangerous idea. He also drinks a little too much grog. And that's something that he was doing on Zendrick too, to be fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah. That actually works. It does take his mind off things.
Good.
Oh.
Cool. Good. That's nice. And the last interaction. Okay, this is, I swear, at the last interaction, I'm going to shove forward. Reich, you also notice Kieran's exhaustion at the end of her shifts. There's no question about that because I'm pretty sure you're the shift after hers. So her shift ends after yours begins. So I'm just double checking that.
He offers to rub your feet.
Yeah, you are the shift after her. So you notice that she is like exhausted, like more than you've ever seen before at the end of her shifts. So you are welcome to approach or leave it alone.
I don't do anything more than just every day when I'm like walking past her. I just clasp her on the shoulder and clasp her on the shoulder, give her a knowing nod, and just go about my business. I am, however, during all of my waking hours, ravenous to learn anything about this ship. Like anyone who will teach me about whatever duties they're doing, I listen with
Oh,
rapt
then I would
attention.
probably tell you about the helm being magical.
Oh,
And you're learning
would-
about the ship.
I would say, is that why you appear so exhausted after your shift? Are you channeling? Are you channeling magics through it?
Yes, through my dragon mark, it does take a toll.
That makes a lot of sense why you would look so exhausted. I know. Then
Well,
I
thanks.
say,
Thanks. That's exactly what a person wants to hear. That they look tired. Thank you, Rick.
Oh.
Fuck off.
I look confused
Fuck
for a
off.
moment.
This
I look
is
for-
why Starboard didn't say it in that
I look
way.
very confused by that response, and I say, apologies, and then I just go about about what I was doing. I just kind of like very confused, awkwardly back away, and then go to talk to someone else.
Nice. Okay, you guys eventually, like I said, it takes you about 18 days to get there, with no real weather mishaps. I mean, as we had said, where were we on the timeline? I told you were in Skype. I think it was more or less the 10th or 12th of July is where you
Yes.
were when I corrected it. So 18 days later on, this brings you into the beginning of August. So, I mean, you were on the seas. So think about the seas down in the south at this time of year. They're hot as hell, but at least you have constant breeze or almost constant breeze. No, the breeze is constant because you have a magical helm that allows Kieran to constantly blow wind from the back of the ship to the forward of the ship and somewhat for directioning and whatnot as well. You have a constant breeze. It's not that bad. However, once you guys pull into the port at Sharn, oh man, it's not the heat that gets you first. It's the goddamn smell. Oh, Stalbor, you lived in Sharn for what, a year, 2 years, whatever it was. You forgot
Exactly a year.
Yeah, exactly a year. You forgot how bad the smell was when you first arrived. You cannot believe that this is what it smelled like when you first arrived the first time, because you wouldn't have stayed. It must smell worse. Does it? Did I really allow myself to live in this for a year? God,
you
this is
think
vile.
like Stalbor's disgusted. Stalbor's finding this hilarious. And if anyone else shows disgust, he's probably laughing like very animatedly at everyone who's like, fuck, it's gross here in Shan.
I imagine Luca's like when we were in Stalbor's apartment and he like moved the mattress away from the window
Yeah.
and it smelled like.
You forgot my
I
apartment was
imagine
next to a
Luca
landfill,
just like
Scott.
yeah. So
I
Luca's
remember.
just kind of like, oh crap, yeah, that's a thing.
Yep. So, and this is the heart of the summertime, which is wonderful because you're imagining like you're imagining about like 20 to 40 times the size of Manhattan sitting on the southernmost tip of Florida in the heart of the summer. This is a hot, humid, nasty, stinky place. So,
It
anyways,
smells like hot feet.
Ooh. So does my wheel perform better? Is it closer to Sharn?
it is airbase. Oh, yes, it does. So that's actually, thank you, Karen. I forgot about that. So yeah, as you guys approach Sharn, as you guys get closer to Sharn, one of the things that you notice is all of a sudden the burden of the wheel itself, because you want to bring it into Sharn. This is not something you're just going to pass off to one of your crew. It's Sharn. It's a little bit more tricky. As you bring it in, all of a sudden the burden is immediately like you feel yourself like, oh, and you're like, oh, God, you feel like that relief, like you had just finished your shift, but you're still controlling it. More than that, the precision of the control that you have in here is insane. You can literally stop the ship, not short, obviously, stop the ship and just turn it. Like
That's awesome.
in spot, turn it because of the way that you're able to manipulate the winds. So
I would actually probably have a little bit of fun with that.
now, this isn't something that you do on your own. This isn't like Kieran does this all by
Right,
herself. She's
right.
magic. But you have a crew that is familiar with these tactics. And so they themselves are, you kind of have to give them the heads up. And so you have to
Yeah, yeah.
remember, roll for me without advantage. Roll for me the sailing check, the vehicle water check, to remember the commands when you used to serve under a Dragon Mark person. Okay, so you remember the commands and you're able to give those to your crew. So when you say things like wheel about and whatever they happen to be, they know exactly where to go and what ropes to pull. Now this is funny because your friends have been doing a pretty good job, do the best they can to learn how to sail for the past 18 days. They have no idea what's going on. They're like, what is this command? I don't know what's going on. Okay,
Yeah.
no. They're like, no, you're doing the rope wrong. And like they take it and they start like doing
Yeah.
things. And literally you guys can see in Stalbor, you've never experienced this. The ship moves in ways that it should not.
Stalbor's got 20 intelligence. He put 2 and 2 together.
Stalbor has disadvantage on everything house related.
Everything human related. Magic, elemental
related.
magic.
You're thinking me. You're thinking me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Elemental magic, he can connect the dots. In house or
Yep,
not, he
yep.
can connect
No,
the
no,
dots.
my
that Kieran
apologies.
is an air mage, and she was stronger in Shan, and she told him this. And
I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I chose the wrong PC because I mistook who had the disadvantage for that. Right.
you a bitch.
Right.
Right, because it's amazing. But she told me it's magical. She straight up told me in my face.
And you've been on it for 18 days and saw nothing like this, though. But you don't have to
I'm just-
react. I'm just giving you
Well,
an
more.
opportunity.
I would still be amazed. Reiki is not like a over the top, like whoa kind of person, but I'd still be like very like, okay. I've never seen. I've been on 3 ships in my life, and none of them have maneuvered in this manner.
When you guys do finally pull into port, Aaron, you can roll for me that check with advantage.
Cool.
Since your crew knows what you're calling to them.
Well then. I had too much fun.
Did you have any
It's
more?
been a little too far, you know.
You already used all your
Oh yeah, no, those are gone.
yeah, of course. So when you can pull into port with your advantage, unfortunately, like you said, you had a little bit too much fun, and so the thing does come in a bit, like it's one of those. All people on the actual docks like whoa 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 slow down whoa 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 whoa. So you don't actually like scratch up the ship or injure it in any way. It's not that low, but you definitely get like really aggravated crew accepting your ship on board, like oh, and like they'll mutter about you as you walk
Sorry.
by.
Sorry.
So but your ship docks.
Not sorry at all.
You guys are at Shard, and you had plans here, things that you wanted to do. Could you tell me what you wanted to do?
Yeah. Does anybody want to go first, or?
You know
Ooh,
what?
I actually have something I
I-
want to do.
Actually,
I've
you know what?
nothing
You know what?
important
No,
up
you know what?
here.
You know what? Why don't we do this when we come back from the break? Since we can do our first break. We'll be back in just about like 5 minutes or so. So everybody that's hanging out, awesome. Thank you. Hang tight. We'll be right back to see what they do in Sharn because they have some really interesting things. Bye.
Bye.